So I've been putting this off for quite some time, as long as I can remember, since we started working on this Jeep, and that is cleaning the entire fuel system. Back when I started working on this Jeep, we had replaced a fuel pump in the tank, and when I was in there, I noticed a lot of garbage and crap inside that fuel tank. Well, it's finally caught up to us, and I'm starting to have power loss when I'm up in the mountains, up on the trail. It's pretty easy to check. All you have to do is get under the hood, remove the Schrader valve cap, hook up a gauge like this, and take it for a test drive. I was able to get the pressure down from 35, or usually around 35, down to 5 psi. So that is a huge indicator that you're losing fuel at a very rapid rate. Now there's a number of things that can cause low pressure in the fuel system, and that could be a rusted out fuel tank, which I believe that's what's going on in our situation. So we're gonna go ahead and start by removing the fuel filter and see what's going on inside there. You can see it's kind of muddy coming out of there. All that mud and rust, not good. That's not supposed to be in your gas. And I'm tired of changing filters and pulling off to the side of the road just to drive this Jeep. So in today's video, we're going to be cleaning the fuel system, starting with the tank, and then we'll do all of the fuel lines, and I'll share with you how to clean out the fuel rail. I'm ready for the solution to this problem, and we're gonna start by dropping the tank. Removing the tank is gonna be super simple. Let's first start by gaining access to the filler neck hoses, get those clamps removed, and remove all of the electrical and the vent tubing and all of the supply and return lines. And we'll just go ahead and unhook both hangers on both straps and lower the tank using my floor jack. And then once the tank is removed, we can get ready to clean it. All right, so I've got this degreaser right here. I'm gonna spray this tank down really, really good, and then we'll pressure wash it. So I'm gonna remove the fuel pump and get it in this 5-gallon bucket over here. So all I gotta do is loosen up the ring here. You can see right in there, it's all pretty bad. So that area there, we're gonna try to clean up and just get my pressure washer in here and just wash it out with some soap and water. See how clean we can get it. So if you do find yourself restoring a gas tank, there's a proper way of doing it, and in AutoZone's instructions on how to do it, they do mention that you should recycle any of the liquid that is captured during the first couple of rinses. Now I'll be mixing mine with some coolant, and then I'll recycle it properly at one of these disposal sites. So I've got the first couple of rinses in, and man, it's starting to look a lot cleaner, except that the inner walls are definitely starting to show how long this tank has been sitting, and you can see all the rust. And I've been tapping on it with a flashlight, and the rust is just falling down, accumulating at the bottom of the tank. So this is going to lead into our next step, and I'll share with you what I'm going to do to get that rust out of this tank. Now it'd be really simple and easy just to buy a new gas tank. 125 bucks, shipped here in a couple days. We can get it installed. But what fun would it be if we couldn't get this thing clean enough to be reused? So I've kind of done some research, and I've come up with a solution, and I think this one's going to work pretty good. So over-the-counter products, super cheap, white vinegar, baking soda, mix it up, and you pretty much have a rust removal ingredient. Next, we'll add some abrasives in there. People like to use like BBs. I'm going to go ahead and use gravel. I have tons of gravel around my house. Got 2 cups here. We're going to go ahead and get all of that in the tank and seal it all up. Get it hooked up to one of the TJs and kind of build like a tumbler. So not only will we have some chemical action removing the rust, we'll also have some abrasive action going on inside. All right, so you can see I got the rear end of the Jeep set on stands, and we've got the jack there supporting up the rear end so the tire can move freely. And I've got these ratchet straps kind of in a X pattern to kind of strap the gas tank to the wheel. Now the tire is wide enough so it won't damage the wheel, and it should just be securely mounted or ratchet strapped to the wheel, and then we'll get everything started up and moving. So I'm just working the clutch. I don't want to go too fast because it'll basically create a centrifuge, and I don't want that. I want the actual rocks to be knocking up along the walls. So I'm just kind of working the clutch. And I'll just kind of shuffle it back and forth on this wheel for 1 to 2 hours, 30 minutes on each side. Let that vinegar, baking soda soak into those rusted spots, and then yeah, I'll be ready to pull this thing off and we'll see the results.
3 hours later.
So I'm pretty much done with it. I've been kind of anxious to see what's going on inside. I'm gonna start taking this thing apart and getting it all rinsed out. It's sat here for about 3 hours, and I've just been rotating it on all 4 corners, just letting it sit between 30 minutes at a time, and then just really shaking this thing up. So I'm done. I'm ready to start taking this thing apart. And yeah, that's looking a lot cleaner, especially on the sides right there. Huge improvement. And you can see kind of where the rust was on this side as well, and you can see it's came up really clean. Came out really clean, actually. Let's get these rocks out and see what else came out looking pretty good. So from here, I took a garden hose and just rinsed it out really good, and then took my shop vac and vacuumed out all the rocks. By that time, it was pretty much dry, but I let it set out in the sun for a couple hours. That way it wouldn't flash rust. And then I started cleaning out the fuel rail. Just removed the fuel regulator to gain access to the fuel rail, and then removed the inlet fuel line from the back side of the rail. And then I just blew it out with some compressed air. And then I took the supply line and blew out that all the way out to the back where the fuel filter goes, and that all worked out pretty good. Just keep in mind that if you do take off the regulator or one of these hoses, you could damage or need to replace the O-rings. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be cleaning out the fuel rail or the fuel lines. So with everything clean, let's go ahead and check out the fuel tank. And I could say mission accomplished. This actually worked out pretty good, way better than my expectations. For just under $10, it completely transformed the inside of this tank, and I'm comfortable to actually use it. This is looking really good. So the next thing all we have to do is basically put it all back together in reverse order as we took it apart. So to help prevent flash rusting, I'm going to take this product called Seafoam, and I'm going to Seafoam the whole entire side of this tank. That way it doesn't come back with rust. Now just keep in mind there is a sealer that you can use specifically made for the inside of gas tanks. I'll leave a link in the description box below. I'm not going to do that now because I feel like once we start getting gas in it, it will definitely keep and prevent rust from coming back. But if you wanted to go an extra step and use that sealer, I'll leave a link in the description box below on what I would recommend. And I'm just going to spray this stuff all around the tank. I'm even going to spray it on the O-rings for the new tank vents and get those installed. There's going to be 2 tank vents that we'll be installing back on the tank. I ordered these from Amazon. I'll leave links in the description box below. Get the pump installed and then reinserting the plastic liner at the base of the tank. There's some clips that just walk around the tank and get each and every clip put back. Kind of help prevent rust, and if it were to come back, I want to take some magnets and attach them to the sides of the tank where the rust was really bad before we cleaned it. And that's pretty much on the ends. So I'm going to take some duct tape and tape those. You can use some kind of adhesive or like an RTV and kind of glue those to the sides of the tanks. Now people have been using magnets for a long time. They install them on underneath the oil pans, drain plugs, and things like that. I think this is going to be perfect. And if there is any metal or anything inside the tank, those magnets should be able to attract that material and help prevent anything from plugging up our fuel filters later on down the road. All right, so we're just dropping the gas in, checking for leaks, making sure everything's good to go, and we have no leaks up front at the fuel rail on the engine side of things. And this fix should be a solid repair as far as a restoration of the old gas tank. So see you guys in the next video. Have a good day. Peace out.